It's just a basic shed with we did a 512 pitch on the roof. So fairly simple design. Any regular shed design would work. Swung the door outward. I'm gonna put something on it to keep it from getting too far out. This is 2x3 walls just to save an inch because it's small in here, right? So this is going to be the change room area. This is going to be the door leading into the sauna room. And this is the inside of the room. So we've got the R40 insulation up top, R12 and the 2x4 walls. Okay. Next we'll do the vapor barrier. The room here is going to be the small little change room sitting room. It's going to have no heat in it, so for in the winter it will be cooler, but it'll be naturally heated a bit off this room here with a gap under the door. So here's what we have so far, and where you'd need to go to bring basically a shed into a sauna. So center wall was framed up. We have a light out here for the change room. This is the electrical panel. Runs from the house. This will be an outlet for plugging in a phone or whatever, maybe a hair dryer or whatever someone might need to plug in. There's an outlet down here because there's going to be a bench here, and under the bench is going to be a stereo system. So we have speaker wires here from the stereo system, and they lead into this corner. So there'll be a waterproof speaker, indoor outdoor speaker under the bench for the stereo system. Wires for the sauna controller itself. 3 light switches. So we have one for the outdoor light, the change room light, and the sauna room light. Obviously it's all insulated in here, just needs a vapor barrier put up. The floor is a 1/2-inch plywood over 16-inch centers in here. This is the cable that's going to connect to the sauna stove itself. So next thing we need to do here is we need standard vapor barrier, knife, staple gun, some sheathing tape, and we'll get this thing all vapored, all the exterior walls. Alright, so yeah, this looks a little messy. But the vapor that was put in behind the panel by the electrician was just taped to the walls now. And all the boxes were pulled through and taped. It's not the cleanest job, and I still got to run a bead of sealant around the bottom, but I ran out of plastic in this side. But this is the actual room that's being heated, and it's a much better job. Again, you don't have to be completely perfect with all this, but you want it as good as possible. Now the next step, just in the area with the heater, the actual sauna room, you need to put out this foil here. It's a foil paper vapor barrier. I don't know how much of this I have because it was used on a different sauna I built a while ago, but I'm going to start and see how far along I can get. Now with this one though, all the walls have to be done, including the ones that I didn't put vapor on here. And just another note on construction too, below this plywood floor there is vapor barrier. So there's vapor barrier on top of the floor joist, then the plywood. And also the ceilings in here are 7 feet. Actually, that's about the highest you want. You can go 6.5 feet for sauna, but you usually only want about 7-foot ceilings. So if you have a higher ceiling, you could just drop it down with a dummy ceiling. That gives you more room for insulation anyway. Oh, this is where things get weird. So as I expected, I did run out. Fortunately, it's not a lot more that I need. I'll just go around the bottom here. And you can take some foil tape and tape up the seams. I'm not going to on this because I have a nice vapor barrier already behind. This stuff rips way too easy to in my opinion, to be solely used as a vapor barrier. I have a hard time getting in the camera because this thing like automatically zooms in and makes everything look really strange in here, but I tell you, if you're in here right now, it's a weird feeling. Feel my cell phone reception diminishing. Anyhow, I'll get the rest of that foil and put that up. And then we start finishing the interior walls, bench building, floors, and then finish carpentry. Pretty simple. Well, I used a pine in the change room area. And this is just a small change room area, but it's more than big enough to kick some clothes off. There's going to be a bench here. Hide the electrical finished. Semi-finished anyway, there's still a light has to be hung here. Everything's good. I need to trim everything out and put a floor in. So I'm putting all the wood on the walls horizontal, and the reason is I don't want to even put strapping in to make this any smaller than it already is, because it is a small structure. Now, this is the vapor I'm using, the foil. So it's pretty inexpensive. This is a 33 foot, a 36. It was the smallest one they had because I got most of it done here before I ran out. And this stuff looks pretty baggy and bulgy. That's just kind of the way it is. It's really hard to get it tight, but it really doesn't matter. Again, you can tape up these with foil tape and there's your vapor barrier. So I'm gonna finish these last bits here now and start putting the cedar in the same way as I did the tongue and groove pine in here. Now what I'm gonna do with this pine is I'm gonna whitewash it as well for a little nicer look. Here's my scratch and dent door. You know, I'm trying to build this on a budget. So far, like, the wood is pretty expensive. This thing's on track to cost me from studs to finished with everything about $3,500. So I'd say it's pretty damn good. Maybe a little bit more once I, finish the floor and that. But I did get a CSA approved stove, timer, and door from a friend of mine for probably about a third of the price it should have been. So this stuff here is all used. But good shape. It was all in pretty good shape. You'll see that shortly. And I'm going to have the electrician come back to hook up the stove after the walls are done. Well, it's a pretty snowy day to be doing this. Here's all my bundles. Each one has 4 pieces in it. It's cedar. There's my 8 and 10 foots for my benches over there in the corner. I'm putting all the wall stuff on with a pass load 16 gauge finishing nailer. Makes it go pretty quick. Making all my straight cuts with keeping it covered just to keep the snow out of it with the DeWalt. This is a rough, one side rough, one side smooth Western red cedar tongue and groove, 3/4 inch, and it's a 5-inch profile. Sure is snowy today. I just piled these here half hour ago from the lumber yard where I get this stuff from. Just a couple notes on installing this. If you put your nails right here, you won't see them when the next one goes on. Also, a few of these walls weren't really the right size for the sizes available in cedar, and I would have ended up with quite a bit of waste. So I'm hiding some seams underneath where the benches are going to go, because the benches are going to come out to here. You won't see those. So behind the benches are where all the seams are going to go, and I'll try to keep everything up top continuous. So pretty good. You want to leave a gap right here to the wall on all the sides, and then when you go to put this next one in, you're going to want to leave a small gap. We'll later cover that up. Here's the basic interior layout. I'll be flipping the heater and the high bench around. All right, getting video in here can be a little tough because of the size, but I have my main upper benches framed in. I'm sort of doing this in an order where I can get the most done each day and avoid drying time. So I put this floor patch down about 8 hours ago, and what I use is a floor patching compound to slope all the floors over to my floor drain ever so slightly, so it'll run the way it's supposed to. I am using a sheet vinyl product, and I'm going to use a really high quality caulking around all the edges, just so any water in here, if there is a little bit thrown on the rocks and that goes through the rocks, which it always does, it will trickle back into the floor drain. So I did that, and then I cut the bottom plate out at the door finally. We're ready to go. So just to show you here, I got a fan going here just to dry the floor, kind of where all the snow ended up melting from working here today. So now I'm not wearing my boots anymore. It's a good size. This will be our 12-inch deep bench over here. And then this is the floor that I'm putting down in here and in there. It's going to be 2 separate pieces because of my little hump there. So that will be the floor that I'll probably put down in, I don't know, about an hour or so when that wood is dry. The benches are constructed fairly basic. It's a 2x4 box out of cedar. Started with this one, mounted it to all the studs, and then put 2x4s in the middle, and they're screwed up from underneath. 2 into through each of those sleepers into the boards to hold the benches in place. And then these corners, of course, here where I've left my gap, are going to be finished by taking some of my 3/4 inch thick cedar and ripping it into 3/4 inch blocks. So they're going to be 3/4 inch square blocks, and they'll just be nailed up in those corners. And I wanted to do it again after the bench because there's going to be a piece from here to here and then a piece from there to there at the bottom. And I didn't want to notch the bench around it. It's better off notching the corner around it. So it's all about the order in which I did things. And there's so many ways you could do this. I'm just showing you one way and what I'm working on, the most affordable way of doing it. I could have picked a lower price wood for the inside, but to me that's where I wanted to spend the money. The vinyl floor was about $50 to do both sides. So everything's pretty inexpensive so far. The floor is almost ready for vinyl in here, but we still have some dark spots there, hardened, but they're still wet, so I want to wait until those are done before I go nuts on the vinyl installation. But in the meantime, I put the speaker there under the bench while it's easy to get at, and I'm going to rip some wood now to fill that little corner. And I've got the amplifier temporarily sitting under the little bench here. This is just a vintage AM/FM stereo receiver, and this is a Speakercraft DT OE or Outdoor Elements, something like that. DT though, dual tweeter, dual voice coil woofer, so it's one speaker that does both your channels. And man, does this place rock. Like, I don't understand why the acoustics are so good. It must just be that speaker sounds good, but you know what, this thing sounds great. It's pretty exciting. So again, that's an indoor-outdoor speaker. You know, you can, if you're putting sound in, you can get you know, a set of stereo speakers if you have a longer one on each side, but these 2-in-1 work great. All right, well, here's a final walkthrough. Everything's completed, so I haven't decided to finish for these walls out here yet. So we'll start by coming in the door into the change area. It's a small little area, but it's perfect. It's the final floor. I have the controller, the 3 switches: outdoor light, change room light, and the dimmer slide control for inside. And then of course timer, which I ordered a new knob for this. Temperature setting, I have it just at room temperature right now because I was finishing working in here and I wanted to stay warm. So of course we have this door with the tinted glass. Needs a little bit of a cleaning, but pretty good. Electrical load center was installed. Convenience outlet, as well as the small bench with stereo system. And this bench was just framed in the same fashion as the interior ones. A box with 2x4 lumber inside, sitting on sleepers with hidden fasteners. Just because the fasteners can get hot, plus they kind of look ugly. I did put face fasteners in the front, which aren't the greatest, but if you're building and you're taking more time, like I literally finished this place in one day. So if you're taking more time and have more comfortable work than freezing cold minus 30 degrees, you can probably build yourself a much nicer bench than that. This is pine paneling walls. Got a couple IKEA hooks here for your robes or towels. Some more hooks here, and a basic shelf up there for towels and that. This is all PVC trim, plastic. It's got a little roller to keep the door closed. And in we go. Here's our benches again. Now with this one here in this corner, we did a pair of legs. This one supports everything, and they're incredibly sturdy down to the floor, as they should be. There's our Speakercraft speaker down there, which sounds absolutely fantastic. I'd recommend those to anybody. And our Sauna-matic Canadian-made stove. Like, it was in such new condition. There's a little bit of discoloring here, but the one this was decommissioned out of was barely used. Vinyl floor. So you can see I took some 3/4 inch, ripped it in the table saw, and Brad nailed it up. And that's to cover all the expansion joints. Did that for all the corners. Took some of the lumber. Actually, I should show you this. This door frame was the same as the wood in here. There was a couple pieces that were damaged tongue or groove, so I ripped it down and made myself a door jamb, because the door I bought off this guy didn't have a door jamb. And then a piece of stop is the same as I used in the corners in there. It worked well. It all came together nice. Soft, but it's cedar, so it doesn't need to be treated. And here's the floor drain down there. I've recessed it into the floor so it's flat, and then I put a spare piece of vinyl over it just to keep the draft out. There's obviously no trap on there because this is outdoor and that would freeze. If you were going to put a trap, you'd have to have a way of heating that trap. So yeah, that's it.